Good morning. Today you've got Nick and Max. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the buyback plans that are available. I'm going to show you some real world examples, help you understand what plan should I be enrolling in. We're going to look at a few of our clients that have had their systems installed for a while. We're going to look at their monitoring, and we're going to do some real math on what these different buyback plans could or would mean. So, one of the first places I like to look is Texas Power Guide. I'm not really sure who runs this site, um, but they keep it very up to date. Today's the 27th, the day before Thanksgiving 2024. This was updated 2 days ago. In Texas, this is going to be relevant to anybody that's in a deregulated area. So if you're in a co-op, this is not relevant to you. You don't have that opportunity to choose which retail electric provider you're with. Where this is going to be relevant for is anybody that's in an Encore service area, in a Center Point service area, as well as Texas New Mexico Power and AEP. Those are the major ones in Texas that give you the power to choose which retail electric provider you're with. Here, they just have you float between Houston and Dallas or Centerpoint and Encore. Some of these energy facts labels could be different if you're in an AEP Central or in a TNMP service area. Regardless, after use, we just use this as a general get an idea of about what it could be. I never just take anything at first glance. I always recommend look at the energy facts label. The energy facts label is a standardized form, one page, and I'm going to show you today how to read that as well. So that way you know what to look out for in some of these things. So it doesn't really matter which one you choose here. Let's work on Hollenbach first. So this is one of our recent clients in Fort Worth. And for him, actually for both of these clients, we installed a solar and battery system. Both of these are relatively small production systems, but um, they also have batteries. Max, you're seeing this page, right? Okay, cool. Just make sure that it's the Texas Power Guide page. So first, I want to show you how to read this page. Again, this is just to get your first glance. We're going to filter it down from here to maybe our top 2 or 3 that we want to look at. And then we're going to go to those sites and look at the energy facts labels for each of these. So let's go over the obvious stuff first. First is the retailer, right? You got some big names on here: Reliant, PXU, Jexa, and then some of the other ones, Green Mountain Energy, that type of stuff. Next is just the name of their plan. This is where you're going to find a link to go to that page. Next is term, meaning term length in months. So you've got 12-month terms, 24-month terms, 36-month terms, right? So you could enroll with some of these companies for 3 years, set in and forget it. Don't worry about it. ETF is early termination fee. So if you were to cancel early for whatever reason, this is the fee you would pay, right? So for Chariot, as an example, it's the number of months remaining would be $15 a month. So you get 3 months into it, you're going to owe them 33 months at $15 a month to cancel. Versus David, 12-month plan, $10 a month. You're 6 months into it, you're going to owe them $60 to cancel that agreement. This one's everybody's favorite. This is the base price per month. So this is just going to be your connection fee. What does it take to just be enrolled in this plan? And you can see a wide variance here. We've got everything from $30 a month all the way down to $0 a month. Cool. We're getting into these two in a second. Other details, these are just going to be like stipulations or caveats to the other piece of the plan. Here's where it gets good. Import is when your home or when your business imports or uses electricity from the grid. So you're using the power from the grid, you're importing the power. This is what they're going to bill you for in any of these plans. Again, a huge and wide variance here. Okay. Export is the value of the electricity that your system produces in excess of what you use. So because you've already got solar, you should already recognize that when the sun is shining during the day, your system is producing electricity. Your system is producing electricity and your home is using electricity at the same time. Your system first is producing power for your home. Your home is using the power that the system produces first. Then you're either using more than what the system's producing and you're importing from the grid, or on a bright and sunny day, you're producing a surplus of electricity and you're then exporting that to the grid. If you have a battery in your system, solar is producing power, powering your home first, then it is charging your battery. Then the surplus, once battery's at 100% full, surplus is then exported to the grid. Cool. The inverse of that is also true. Sun is setting, it's nighttime, or it's Texas, one of these huge thunderstorms is rolling through, super dark clouds blocking out the sun. Those are the times when you're going to import power from the grid. Notice here, right? Used to not be this way. They've delineated and broken out. When you import, it's going to be 15.4 cents plus the TDU fees. That's your transmission delivery fees. Okay. Whereas when you export, what's missing on this side of the equation? It's those transmission fees. And that's recent as of this year, really, where the retailers are writing into their agreements that they are excluding the transmission fees. Right? The plan that I enrolled in the summer of 2022, that was not delineated. So I was in a 3-year plan with Pulse Power. Right now, my system is producing way over what I'm using. My overproduction credits can and do negate my transmission fees. For me, this coming summer 2025, I'm going to lapse out of that plan. And by the general landscape right now, I'm going to be a little bit effed. Part of my French. I'm going to be in a tight spot because my system is way overproducing. I did that with purpose and with intent. And then the ground shifted from underneath me. And so now when I import power, doesn't matter that I'm overproducing by a boatload. I'm still going to incur these TDU fees. Cool. So how do you determine what is the right plan for my system? Or in developing a system or in the planning process of what system size should I go with, how should these plans influence what you do? There's a couple of options, right? In our view, the long-term savings, right? The value and benefit of solar is that you can reduce and eliminate what you're using from the grid. However, at night, you're still importing. So how do you resolve the nighttime situation? Well, batteries. If you can store your surplus energy in batteries, so as you overproduce, you store it in the batteries. And if that can reduce and eliminate what you import at night from the grid, then really this equation becomes moot. It doesn't even matter. The pain point or the issue with batteries is that they are a an expensive system, an expensive device, in addition to the solar, right? So if you're this deep into it, you should already understand solar is going to reduce and eliminate my usage from the grid during the day. Batteries will enable me to utilize that at night. It's going to cost you a little bit more to do batteries. However, if the goal, if the plan is I want to create a fixed monthly payment, one that never changes again in the future, if you want to take that full control of what you're paying for electricity, and if you want to have that opportunity to pay off your electricity costs, then solar and battery is the solution that is nearly guaranteed to truly eliminate your electricity bill. That could mean that you end up paying slightly more today than you have been in exchange for the security and knowing exactly what you're going to pay moving forward and build equity in your system. Not to mention the secondary benefit of batteries, which is backup power. Today, if the grid goes down, are any of these retailers coming out to get you backup power? No. I like to think of the retailers as accounting and marketing firms. That's all they do. They're just tracking, hey, where did I purchase this electricity from? And how much did I purchase it for? Who did I sell this electricity to? And how many consumers can I enroll in my plans? So they're just making money on a trade of this electricity. Our goal is to help you eliminate these guys from the equation. And you should be paying yourself for your energy because your home has the capacity to produce on its roof. So let's get into that a little bit. I want to show you one of our clients with a battery system. Where are they at? Oh my gosh, gotta swim through a sea of, what I bet it is. I'm sure it was on a different page. Okay. So let's look at this system since they've had it. So we just got them installed and up and running in May. And in that time, they've only used 2,500 kilowatt hours. That's really low. And I'm very surprised by that. I'm not sure how or why that's the case. Our calculations, and they thought too, they were using far more electricity than this. Like when we originally calculated it, it was like 18 or 20,000 kilowatt hours a year, something like that. So for May through November, we're at the end of November here, so 6 months, they've only used 2,500 kilowatt hours. That's great, right? They're more conservative. It could be that the solar on their roof is shading the roof and reducing how much they need to cool or how much the AC needs to work to keep the home cool in the summertime, something like that. Cool. Their systems produced nearly 10,000 kilowatt hours. So already you can tell, okay, they are a net exporter of electricity. Okay? These folks happen to be in a co-op. We're going to treat it as if they're in one of these deregulated areas just for the math sake of it. Cool. So they've produced 9,600 kilowatt hours. They've used 2,500 kilowatt hours. If their system did not have a battery, their import figure would be much larger than what it is right now. Okay. But they do have a battery, which means that they're really, really reducing what they import. Typically, and we're going to look at some other systems as well, typically we're going to see this grid dependence number closer to 57, 58, 59%, meaning about 60% of the time we are importing power from the grid. it's doing the math for us here. It's a 9% figure here, which is amazing. So 230 kilowatt hours imported over the 2,500 that they've used, 9%. Makes sense. Cool. So how does this work out mathematically for them? All right, let's choose a plan. Again, my argument here is that the plan effectively doesn't even matter because they've got the battery, right? They're only using in 6 months, they've only imported 230 kilowatt hours from the grid. Okay. And so like we could even pick the worst plan on here, right? Which is this night's free plan. So not even taking into account, or here's another one here too, another night's free plan at 30 cents a kilowatt hour. Not even taking into account the time of use, which odds are they were using that electricity or importing it at nighttime, and not during the day. Even if all 230 kilowatt hours was at nighttime, then in 6 months, their total charge would have been 69 bucks divided by 6 months, or $11.50 a month to the grid. This is what they owe, right? Of course, in this plan is a $4.95 fee. Okay, let's look at something different. Let's go with this champion plan where there's no base monthly connection fee, right? So that $11.50 would have been 15 bucks with that plan. If we look at champion, 230 kilowatt hours is what they imported. We know that the transmission fees are in Encore area roughly 5 cents, a little bit greater than that, but let's round it up. Let's call it 5.5 cents. They're going up anyways. They're going to be greater next year than they are this year. So 9 plus 5.5 is 14.5. $33 in 6 months, a total of $5.55 a month. That's what they would have paid on average to the grid in the most recent 6 months. Okay. But Nick, we exported a whole bunch of electricity. What gives? Oh yeah, well, guess what? You get these credits as well, right? So really the better way to think of this is, okay, if I enroll in a one-to-one plan, then my energy is negated because I'm trading at the same price. And over here, I exported more than I produced. So I'm going to have a big credit. But whatever I import is excluded. The TDU fees, the transmission fees, are excluded from that. So if I imported 230 kilowatt hours, well, I know I'm going to be charged 5.5 cents a kilowatt hour, $12.65 over 6 months, $2.10 a month. And sure, you're going to have a kilowatt hour credit of 915 bucks. And so for them, if they're in an all electric home and if this tide is about to turn where they're heating the home with electricity in the winter, the grid owes them $915 worth of electricity, which is going to go towards their imported amount of electricity this year in the winter and those transmission fees. So let's look at another example. This woman's had solar, I forget when, since 2022. So let's look at a full calendar year, 2023. You can see she's a net importer. Barely. The system's basically producing everything that she needs. Pretty darn close. She's using 18,100 kilowatt hours. Her system produced 17,900 kilowatt hours. That is exactly how we designed it in 2022, because at the time, you could do a one-to-one trade and that would include the transmission fees. So there's going to be a lot of people that are in this scenario. Anybody that went solar really early this year and before, they were doing so with the understanding that they're going to be in a true one-to-one net metering. And that was before the retailers changed the goalpost and moved to where they were. So in this instance, you're effectively producing everything that you're using, right? 17,900 divided by 18,100. You're producing 98.895%. You're producing 99% of the electricity that you're using, right? However, this woman does not have a battery. So she's importing 10,800 kilowatt hours. And it already gave us the math over here, but just to show you again. So even though her system is producing 99% of the electricity that she's using, 60% of the time over the course of 2023, she's importing power from the grid, right? This year, 2024, 55%. So maybe we had more sunny days. Also seems like she's using far less this year. System also is producing a little less this year. So for sure, an interesting finding there. Not sure what that situation is. Regardless, let's use a full calendar year as the example. So what does the math say on this? Well, first of all, she used 18,100 kilowatt hours. She imported 10,800 kilowatt hours. In real time, her system produced and she used 7,300 kilowatt hours during the day. 40%, which makes sense, right? 60%, 40%. So in real time, she was able to use 7,300, I think is the math on the kilowatt hours during the day. Okay, but what am I going to be billed here? Well, we know that she's a net importer of 261.3 kilowatt hours, okay? So this is what she's going to be billed on the import energy charge. So we know that the import energy charge will be assessed on 261.3 kilowatt hours. So really, let's pick any old plan. Here, I would still recommend a one-to-one plan because she's effectively producing everything. Okay, so this times 0.154. So net over 12 months for the energy charge, it's on average $3.40 a month. $3.36 a month. Not too shabby on the energy. However, she's importing 10,800 kilowatt hours. So it's 10,800 kilowatt hours. We've been using 5.5 cents a kilowatt hour. So over the year, odds are Encore is going to bill her about $50 a month, plus the 336. So her average grid power bill is going to be $52.86 a month because of how much she's importing. If she were in one of these one-to-one energy plans. Now, there's some of these other plans available as well, right? So in this instance, why would going with a low purchase price, why would that not be the right solution? The issue is that the export price that they're charging is far less than the import price. And so in this instance, now we got to add something else to our equation. So we're going to use 8.1 plus TDU on import, and we're going to use 3 cents on export. Okay. So in this instance, she's exported 10,600 kilowatt hours. They're going to give her a credit for 3 cents a kilowatt hour, $318. Those $318 can only be applied to the 261 kilowatt hours that she's being billed 8.1 cents a kilowatt hour for, $21. Okay. So what was it before? It was $318 of credit. Okay. So $318 of credit. Actually, no, I lied. I'm incorrect. It's the whole shebang here. It's everything. So it's going to be 10,800, 8.1 plus 5.5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.6. So that's the 8.1 cents per kilowatt hour time plus the transmission fees of 5.5 cents. So it's going to be 1,468.8 kilowatt hours. Actually, let me rephrase this. 10,800 times 0.081, 871 minus the 318. So net, now she's going to be billed $556 by the retailer. And on top of that, she's still going to have the transmission fees at $594. So that's a way worse situation because now total spend over the year is $1,150 to the grid, right? So nearly double what it would have been in the 1-to-1 rate of trade. Okay. So where would this type of plan be beneficial? This type of plan would be beneficial if, right, you got another one down here. If you were only producing roughly half of your electricity. If you were only producing what you use during the day with the intent of only reducing and eliminating your daytime usage, then this plan is going to be beneficial because you're going to use the electricity at night anyhow. And so how can I get my electricity as cheap as possible? And what you'll notice here is that these plans are way cheaper than the average price available today. So as of October 2024, the average all-in rate in DFW is 19.6 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay, so if we're attributing 5.5 cents to Encore, and that means that the average energy charge that you can enroll in right now is 14.1 cents plus the TDU fees, 5.5 cents. All in, you're paying 19.6 cents. Well, if I can cut your energy charge in half, basically, by enrolling in an octopus, then that could be a really interesting strategy. So let's take this one as an example as well. I don't have any good examples of a system that we've done this for, but let's say we were only producing 9,000 kilowatt hours here, and she was using 18,000. Okay. So if she's using 18,000 kilowatt hours, and you're enrolled in an average plan, with the grid, your average electric bill would be $294 a month. So if you're using 18,000 kilowatt hours and you're enrolled with the average plan right now today, it means that your average electric bill is going to be $300 a month. Okay. So how can solar resolve that? Well, 9,000 kilowatt hours you'd be able to get it for 7.5 plus transmission, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13 cents all in. So you're going to be able to get your electricity from the grid for $97 a month. Well, hold on. That's way less than half of 294. Half of 294 is 142, one something like that. 140 something. I don't know. Um, a little more than that, but it's less than 150, right? Because 150 bucks a month, let's call it, if it were $300. Okay. So how is this a third of that? Well, your import rate is only 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, Nick, what's the solar going to cost me? Well, right now, depends on a number of different factors, but we're typically around this same price, somewhere between 12 and 14 cents a kilowatt hour on an optimal roof layout. Okay. So if this were double, if it were the same price for solar as it were for the energy charges, what would you rather do? Would you rather pay $294 a month, which based off of the trend, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to stay the same? Is it going to go down? Or over time, is it going to continue to increase, right? If you never made any changes, if you stayed with the grid, when will your electricity bill be paid off? It won't. It'll never be paid off. So would you rather pay $294 a month and next year that rate increases, and the year after that, that rate increases, and the year after that, that rate increases? Would you rather do that and your bill never go away? Or would you rather immediately reduce what you're paying to buy basically $100 a month, $99 a month cheaper immediately? So the issue in this methodology is that odds are the import price and the transmission fees are still going to increase. Here, at least you're protecting half of your energy profile, your electricity profile. You're using far less than you were before. You're getting a fixed and committed price that never changes again in the future. That is better than where you're at today. But half of your energy profile is at risk of continuing to increase in price. Cool. Now, this one's a really high risk one. I've heard folks, chattering about it, but these free nights plans, I think, can be very tempting. My only concern is, right, look at when it's free. It's 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Right now, we're at the end of November, and it's starting to get dark at like 5 o'clock. So you're going to have 4 hours of usage at 30 cents a kilowatt hour. And those 5 hours happen to be typically, for your average household, the highest usage times of the day, right? Kids are coming home from school, parents are coming home from work, you're turning on the heater, whatever. Lights are coming on, food's being cooked, TV's getting flicked on, whatever it is that you're doing. Hot tub getting turned on, whatever. A lot of that's going to happen in this 5 to 9 p.m. window. There's another free nights one in here somewhere too. Nights free, same thing, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So these plans make me really nervous because there's a 4-hour window here of known high usage where you're going to be charged a stupid high price. So just very high risk, for somebody that says, oh, well, I can gamify my usage. I can ensure that I'm not using power during those times. Then absolutely, yeah, that could be a really interesting way to get your bill to just the solar bill, right? If you know that you can gamify when you use your power, you're only going to use electricity when the sun is shining, and reduce and minimize that usage outside of these windows, then heck yeah, more power to you. You could probably get your bill to $100 a month, right? In this exact same mathematics scenario, right? Because we were proposing that the solar price, right, to produce 9,000 kilowatt hours in an optimal um, roof, we could probably do it for around $100 a month, right? Um, and so $100 a month for solar, your nights are free, so you can use power all you want between 9:01 and 6:59. Um, do it that way. I would probably not ever recommend that to somebody, but if you know, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, this is what I need, heck yeah, for sure. Then that's going to be a good plan for you. You're going to be on, the tertiary of folks that think like that and want to work that hard to gamify when they use power. Um, so that's a brief, not so brief. So that's a rough breakdown of some of how these plans operate and some of the use cases for if you've already got a solar system. If you went solar in early 2024 or earlier, and you got a 100% offset system or 115% offset system or 125% offset system, anticipating that you would be able to net out all of the variable charges in your bill, and that landscape has since shifted underneath you, then odds are right now your best plan, your best strategy would be one of these one-to-one plans. And unfortunately, you're just going to have to eat these transmission fees, just is what it is. An aggressive alternative could be these free nights situations, where especially in summer, right? It's light until 10 p.m. at night in the summer months. If you've got natural gas coming into your home and you're not super heavily energy dependent in the winter months when the sun shines less and it's darker earlier, then this could be an interesting strategy for you to avoid some of these transmission fees. Just go into that knowing it's high risk. And, if your system goes down for whatever reason for a week in the summer, that could be not so hot, right? Um, and then if you've got a 75% or less production system, then really you just want to get the cheapest purchase price possible. Some of you might be asking, what's this RTW mean? That means real-time wholesale, right? Here you've got real-time wholesale, so long as it's less than 20 or equal to 25 cents. And so the reason they would throw this in there is there's multiple points throughout the year where the real-time wholesale price is like $5 a kilowatt hour. And so you've heard a lot about folks with batteries playing arbitrage on that. And so they would want to enroll in one of these types of plans and, deplete and sell their battery stored energy when that wholesale rate is spiking. But cool. So I want to show you what an energy facts label looks like. So that way you can know what to look for, and they're all the same across the board. They have to be. It's a standardized plan. Rather, it's a standardized sheet. Okay, so as you can tell, some of these utility companies are partnered with install organizations. And what do you think that means? That means that you got an extra finger in the pot, right? So if you're planning to go solar, I'd recommend reaching out directly to a solar install organization, right? There's a lot of sales organizations out there. Ambit is a retail electric provider that seems to have a partnership with a solar installer. That means that Ambit's going to make a little scratch on your solar install. So buy direct. Okay. So they got a 12-month, a 24-month, and a 36-month plan. Let's just look at the 12-month. So view plan info is what you would want to click on. Every website, every retailer is going to be a little bit different. Again, they're trying to get you to not look at this right here, the energy facts label. Always look at it. It doesn't take that long. It's only ever these 2 pages. Super simple to read. So let's zoom in so we can read it in living color all together. So right off top, it tells you average use and the average price per kilowatt hour. This is always a little bit confusing, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me at least. So the average price per kilowatt hour includes a buyback credit for 400 kilowatt hours of excess energy exported to the grid. Based on average monthly meter read data for customers in your service area, your average price per kilowatt hour for the service will depend on your usage, excess energy, and the following pricing components. Cool. So what this is saying is, if you produce 400 kilowatt hours of electricity, then you're getting a credit for that, just for the surplus production. And that's helping them to base what these prices are, right? If you're only importing 500 kilowatt hours and you're exporting 400, well, you're going to pay a really low amount. Let's relate this back to this system here. Let's go down to a monthly view. Okay. So this actually aligns with what that plan was just saying. And let's go to a summer month. Beautiful. So this is August. You know, she's floating right around this import export, break even type of figure here. Okay. She's using a total of 1,400 kilowatt hours. The grid does not know that. All the grid knows is she's using 695 kilowatt hours. That's all she imported. The grid also knows that she's exported 750 kilowatt hours in this month, right? And again, we're looking at this from the month of July, whereas your billing period or your billing cycle may or may not align exactly, first through 31st. It could be the 9th through the 10th of August, something like that, which you'd be able to come up here to custom and do all that in your monitoring. Okay. So here, so this one happens to have a base charge per month. So automatically going to be charged $14.95 a month. So we'll add that in at the end. Energy charge and buyback rate is the exact same figure. That's a beautiful thing. Okay. And so, and what was the number? It was 15.38 cents. Cool. So in the month of July here, she imported 695 kilowatt hours. So 15.38 cents. They're going to bill her for $106.89. However, she produced more. And they're going to owe her $115.36. So net, they owe her $850. And that would carry forward to the next month. In fact, we'll go ahead and look at that next month in a moment. But we know Encore is going to charge her $5.1893 a kilowatt hour, plus another fixed fee of $4.23. And she imported 695 kilowatt hours from the grid, 695. $36, of which that $8 or whatever cannot go against that. So $36 plus 423 plus 1495, I think was the base monthly. So odds are in July, if she were in this plan, the grid would have billed her for $55.24. Let's look at this month where she's a net importer by about the same amount. So she imported 808.8 times the 1538. They're going to bill her for $124.39. They're going to credit her for 116. Okay. So 124.39. Oops. 116.19. $8.20. She carried forward a credit on the energy of $8.47. So again, no energy charges this month because the grid still owes her 27 cents on this energy. But as we know, she's going to be billed by Encore. $41 plus the fixed fee plus the fixed base monthly connection fee. $61 this month from the grid. These are all important things. Again, it's a short and a very brief 2 pages. Okay. Please read these. They're so important and they change all the time, right? You can't just read it once and say, oh, I know it now. It's not the case. They're always changing it. It's why if you went solar in 2023 or earlier, and all of a sudden you're getting charged transmission fees, you don't know why, read this. This is why. Buyback credits are calculated by multiplying your buyback rate by your excess energy and can offset up to 100% of your energy charges each month, excluding all the other crap. Base charge, TDU, taxes, and fees. Unused credits applied to future bills. Yay, that's what we just calculated. 27 cents left over after July, August. Okay. No restriction on the amount of banked credits, no cash credit, blah, blah, blah. So you cannot cash these in. Cool. That's really like the super critical stuff right there. Other key terms, you're going to want to read that. And then here's where, some other facts and figures are the disclosure chart. So, and this is where it gets confusing, right? Up here, they say credits have no cash, credit, or other redemption value and are not transferable. Does Ambit purchase excess distributor? Yes, they do. Subject to blah, 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 blah. Well, that's what this is here. They're purchasing the electricity at this. They're not going to cash it out, right? So that's one plan. So that's where, and we'll just post this link on here. We're going to continue to do these types of things. This will be kind of the placeholder first one, and then we'll just do recaps, maybe on a monthly update type of thing of this stuff. But know what your system's producing. You know that by looking at what is my system doing? What is the performance? Okay, how much am I using? How much is the system producing? That's your first step. If you don't have solar yet, it's understanding what's my roof layout like, what's the shade or amount of sunlight that's hitting my roof, how much energy do I use, and then figure out what system size do I need. Some homes can't produce 100% of your electricity. And guess what? That's okay. Because today we covered a strategy that would potentially take Your all-in cost, if you're using 18,000 kilowatt hours on an average rate plan today, you're paying about $300 a month today. You could get a super ambitious, aggressive strategy to produce half of your home's power and gamify when you use your electricity and get your all-in cost of energy to about $100 a month. So you could slash your bill by 70% by understanding what you use, when you use it, producing half of your home's electricity, and then getting the rest of the electricity at night. Maybe you're a night owl anyways. Maybe you're going to start doing your laundry at 9:01 is when you start your load. Maybe you're an early riser. And maybe before you hit the gym in the morning, you're starting the dishwasher machine instead of starting it right after dinner at 8 p.m. If you're seeking a long-term opportunity to reduce your cost, to protect your home, to protect your assets, to have the opportunity to pay off your electricity bill, our recommendation is, if your home can do it, produce 100% of your power, add batteries into the system, and it's going to land actually probably less than this average rate all in, right? Sure, maybe you enrolled in a fantastic plan right around this time, May, June of 2023, and maybe your rate's only 15 cents a kilowatt hour. Maybe when you see your solar and battery plan, it lands right here, 18 cents a kilowatt hour, right? Sure, maybe you've got this plan for the next 3 years. So until August of 2026. What's going to happen in August of 2026? And how quickly is the savings and the delta between whatever your solar and battery plan ends up being? How quickly would that savings be nixed by a sharp increase in your rate in a peak heat season of the month of the year in 2026? How is this new administration and the new presidency going to impact the cost of energy? How's it going to impact the cost of the equipment and materials that we use in these systems? How's it going to impact the cost of labor? Everybody wants a raise every single year. And this is a skilled trade. And those skilled technicians are getting more and more expensive every year. The question you need to ask yourself is, am I okay renting this electricity from the grid with no added value? Well, the interest rates are too high right now. Well, you're paying a 100% interest rate to the grid. You're throwing the money out the window. Why did you purchase your home? Why did you stop renting an apartment? Why did you stop renting a single family home? Why did you purchase your home? It's the American dream. This is a continuation of the American dream. Right now, you're renting your electricity from a huge oligopoly, oil and gas oligarchs, multi-billion-dollar global corporations giving you the power to choose. What company owns Reliant? What company owns Green Mountain Energy? What company owns TXU? Look that up. It's a handful of companies that all own all these other companies. So you're choosing, you have a choice. The choice is always yours. Why would you choose to continue to line the pockets of organizations that are destroying the planet, actively lobbying against making upgrades to the transmission systems which then result in a February 2021 snowstorm freeze and outage that causes damage, resulting in the deaths of your friends, family, and neighbors. Why continue that? Well, I don't like how solar looks on my roof. Are you riding around town salivating over your neighbor's shingles on their roof? Of course, there are good looking systems and bad looking systems. Ultimately, it's a change to the status quo. Can you believe that in the 50s and 60s, people were saying the exact same thing about their HVAC units, the air compressors on the exterior of the homes? Well, I just don't like how it looks on the outside of the home. Imagine your life had those people won. What does that mean to you? That means no air conditioning. Does that sound like a pretty good lifestyle? No AC in the summertime in Texas, August, no air conditioning because I didn't like how it looked on my home. The alternative for many Texans today is a further and further unaffordable bill. Many Texans today are choosing between, am I going to put food on the table or am I going to pay my electricity bill? That decision is going to continue to become more pronounced as energy prices continue to rise. You can make a decision today that not only enables an economic and financial gain for your home and for your family, a continuation of the American dream, the ownership of your energy supply, the security and peace of mind of having reliable and consistent power, regardless of what a third party corporation chooses to maintain and keep up with. You're choosing to leave the planet slightly better than you found it and leave a legacy for your family to know that they've got a fixed and consistent price of energy that can never change again. If you like this series, we're going to continue doing it. We're going to continue talking about the current price of electricity, how that is going to be impacted over the next 4 years and beyond, and the opportunities that exist for you to separate yourself from the control others are exerting on you. Right now, you've got no control. We're going to help you take control.